Georgia was the 13th and final colony chartered by King George II. On February 12, 1733, James Oglethorpe's ship, along with 114 passengers, arrived along the coastal area of what is now Savannah. The colony of Georgia was formed as a buffer to the west, providing protection from indigenous peoples and from Spanish Florida to the south. Oglethorpe soon began mapping out a grid for the city of Savannah, which became the colony's first city. Later, the city of Augusta emerged. After the American Revolution in 1784, new counties were formed as settlers moved westward. Forsyth County was formed on December 3, 1832, during the final partition of the original Cherokee County. The creation of Forsyth County was a direct result of the Georgia Gold Rush and the subsequent forced removal of the Cherokee people. Following the discovery of gold in North Georgia in 1828, the state legislature claimed and confiscated all Cherokee territories in 1830 and designated it one Cherokee County. Then, in 1832, during the Cherokee land lotteries, which was a way to distribute land to white settlers and Revolutionary War patriots, the state divided the territory into 160 acre agricultural lots and 40-acre gold lots. Because the original county seat was too large for practical governance, where residents were unable to reach the county seat within a day's horse ride, it was divided into 10 smaller counties, which included Forsyth. Forsyth County was named in honor of John Forsyth, who served as governor of Georgia. He was a U.S. Senator and Secretary of State under Presidents Jackson and Van Buren. While the community of Hightower was initially considered for the county seat, leaders chose a more central location, and the town of Cumming was laid out in 1834 to serve as the official county seat of Forsyth County. The city of Cumming was named after Colonel William Cumming, who fought in the War of 1812. The Trail of Tears ran directly through Forsyth County as the Cherokee were forced from their land and made to go westward to reservations in the Oklahoma Territory. Although the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Georgia could not impose its laws on Cherokee territory, President Andrew Jackson refused to enforce that ruling, and in May of 1838, General Winfield Scott and 7,000 troops began forcibly removing Cherokees at gunpoint, allowing them to take nothing but the clothes on their backs. Captured families were held in temporary stockades across Georgia, where many died from disease or exposure before the march ever began. Over 15,000 Cherokees were marched roughly 800 to 1,200 miles across multiple states, and an estimated 5,000 died during the roundup.
My name is George Emery Perkle. I have lived in Forsyth County off and on for something like 50 years or so. And I have always been very enamored of history, to the point that I would rather, every time I see a historical marker on the side of the road, I slam on brakes and I have to go see what the historical marker says, and if there's a button to push, I will push the button. I'm sitting here in the yard, which was the side yard for the Sherrill House, which was built by Eli Sherrill around 1805. There was a tavern on the property here that was built as one of 3 taverns on the Federal Road in those days, approximately 1804. And it was built at the request of President Thomas Jefferson, and he requested James Vann, who was one of the 3 principal chieftains of the Cherokee Nation, actually railroad through getting some stands built along the way. They weren't actually called taverns, they were called stands. He built 3 taverns. The one that was here was the one that was in the middle. There was one across the Chattahoochee River, which he held as part of his plantation property. And then there was another one up near Tate, Georgia. That building burned, but the other two survived. The one that was sitting here was moved to the Cumming Fairgrounds in 2004. It was the one that Van favored more than any others to come to when he was out on a hunting trip or anything like that. That particular night, when he was there, he had rounded up 3 horse thieves who had stolen horses, and Van served as judge, jury, and executioner. They went out back over to the left side here, and he killed all 3 of them. The people who had accompanied Van were cowering over in one corner of the tavern. Van went back to drinking, which was his favorite hobby. He was sitting in the middle of the tavern, heard a noise, started to get up out of the table, and was shot right through the heart.
I'm Commissioner Todd Levent, Forsyth County, Georgia, District 3 Commissioner for 15 years now. We have 2 houses in the Forsyth County that we're trying to get preserved through the Forsyth County Historical Society. One's the Sherrill House, where we are today, up off Old Federal Road, and the other one is the Fowler House, which needs a whole lot less work, which is right by Fowler Park. And it is hopefully our goal to get some interest in folks that want to volunteer and possibly donate to the Forsyth County Historical Society. This county doesn't have a lot of historical homes still sitting around. It never had railroad, which might have laid more antebellum homes in the area, unfortunately, but we do have some seriously deep history in some of these homes. This is located the Sherrill House along the Trail of Tears, which we all know what that was. And I just like to tell you that it's something that our county really needs to get behind and embrace, and hopefully help preserve these homes for the future.
I'm Durwood Sneed. I'm a retired pastor and the co-founder of Forsyth Descendants Scholarship, and we're here in Forsyth County, Georgia. And today we're at the Tolbert Street Cemetery, which is a hallowed place because this originally was a burial ground for black people that lived in the county. So in 1840, the black population of the county had grown to 800 people. And then by 1860, just prior to the Civil War, that had grown to 899, and all of those people were slaves and listed on the slave schedule of the 1860 census. The Civil War occurred, emancipation occurred obviously in 1865, and that 899 population of black people grew to 1,100 by 1910, when we had the 1910 census. This cemetery has people that were black that were buried here prior to 1912. So out of the 1,100 black people that were here, basically many of the people that were their ancestors were buried here in the cemetery. This was part of a number of black cemeteries throughout the county. We think there were 7 to 11 that were scattered throughout the county. Most of them had churches right next to them. But in 1912, the events that occurred, there were a series of events, and this was following 6 years after the events in downtown Atlanta, when there was a literal shootout between black and white people in downtown Atlanta. But then on Sunday, there was a young lady, 18 years old, named May Crow, who disappeared. She was going from her aunt's house to her mom's house. She didn't show up at her mother's house. They found her the next morning, unconscious, beaten, raped, assaulted in so many ways. And the next day, they arrested 3 black people for that crime that lived on her street. Oscar Daniel and Ernest Knox were both convicted of the crime, and they were executed, we think, on land probably right behind us here in what looked like a natural amphitheater, and Sawney Mountain, which is right over here, was in the background. But black people did not live here for 80 years, essentially more than 2 or 3 after 1912. We moved here in 1989. The 1990 census had 14 black people in the county. But all of us are born at a particular time in history with a system around us. And I've traveled around the world with my work with missions, and I've seen the same thing happen in many places around the world, where one group has fear of another group. Whether it's real or imagined, it doesn't matter. If the fear is there, it's real to them. And through that, it causes a lot of different conflict. We've kind of looked back at different times in history and said, if some leaders on both sides had simply had a conversation with each other, could we have avoided a lot of the issues that happen here? But This county today is one of the best counties to live in the United States. We have the best school systems in the state. It's a very safe county. We're a very diverse county. We actually have about 20% of our population now that's South Asian in this county. About 10% is Hispanic. And the black population is still only about 4.5% to 5%, but mainly that's because of the history. And many of these people, as they left, they dispersed and went all over the United States. You know, some of them went to Beaufort, Georgia because there was a tannery there and there were jobs there. Some went to Michigan and ended up working in the car industry a few years later, dispersed all over the place. But we felt it was important to acknowledge it, but also something to be helpful for the next generation. So we started a college scholarship that's called the Forsyth Descendant Scholarship for descendants of those black people that were expelled in 1912. But we have awarded now about $440,000 in scholarships to 25 different recipients. They go to schools all over the place. And the neat thing about this is that we are so excited about people now looking at Forsyth County in a completely different way. There's an organization called Leadership Forsyth. They have a one-year class, it's called, where they meet together for a year. They research a lot of things. They are receiving education, a lot of things in the county, and then they do a project. And the class of 2022 took on this project of renovating and renewing this entire space of the cemetery. The cemetery was completely overgrown. It was difficult to even walk through here without getting scratched up by thorns. But the class of 2022 came in and cleaned it all up, got all the overgrowth out of the way, and then brought in some people from the gas department that helped them do sonar probes to determine where all the graves are throughout the cemetery and then mark those graves. There are about 180 graves here of black people that lived here again before 1912. And so it's a hallowed place. But that's what happened, and all of that happened over a period of about 9 months.
Hello, I am Jimmy McConnell. I am co-president of the Historical Society of Cumming Forsyth County. I joined in 2001, have held various offices. Martha and I became co-presidents in 2006.
Hi, I'm Martha McConnell, and as Jimmy said, I am the other co-president of the Cumming Forsyth County Historical Society. And we are located at 101 School Street in the historic Cumming High School.
I was not so much into genealogy until we got married and she got me started. And we went to a meeting at J.C. Gasway's Indian Museum. And that was where we joined that night. The next year, Martha was elected an officer. The following year, I was elected an officer, and we've held different offices up until the time that we became co-presidents. And we have some very famous people that either from the county or have connections to the county. Of course, Junior Samples, Will Rogers, Ed Harris, the actor, Kelly Giddish of Law and Order SVU fame, Audra McDonald, she was a actress and singer, Luke Appling, he's a Hall of Fame shortstop. There's a lot of other sports figures that either have lived or do live in the county now.
We're very excited that next year is the 250th birthday of our nation. And we are trying to come up with some ideas about how we're going to celebrate. One thing is when we usually have a cemetery tour in the end of October. And this year the characters are going to be soldiers from different wars that are buried in the Cumming City Cemetery.
Hey, this is State Representative Brent Cox from District 28, and I'm out here helping the Forsyth County Historical Society, Jimmy and Martha, who are good friends, that are trying to save all the history here in Forsyth County that we can. My current part that I'm playing is Chief Sawney, which is named after Sawney Mountain. So some of the history of this story is Chief Sawney was one of the leaders here in Forsyth County, and one of his other good friends was east of here, which was Young Deer. And many of you know Young Deer from the rivers and the lake in that area. Chief Sawney was in this area and west towards Kelly Mill, also toward Big Creek and Setting Down. Some of the stories that are told is that Chief Sawney had 4 wives, and each wife had a house at each corner of the property, I guess to keep sanity in the house. And then Chief Sawney was actually in the middle of the property. It's where he lived, which is now known as Kelly Mill Elementary School. There's legends and stories told that if you go there, that you will see a woman at night teaching children, which would have been one of my wives, and as you get closer, she disappears. Then came the time of when the white settlers came in and we tried to live at peace with them, and ultimately they started creating treaties which were in languages which we did not know, and those languages ultimately led to the Cherokee Indian families being taken on a long trail west of here, which we now know as the Trail of Tears. There were roughly 28 families that were left here. They were put in a stockpile. I was older at that age as I'm playing the part. I told all that they needed to go west and I was going to stay here and live on this mountain. I was then taken and with all of the family gold, and the legend is that there's much gold buried in this mountain, and there's much gold in a lot of places in North Georgia, as we all know, and was buried inside the cave, and to this day no one's found it. And I'm sure many of you have tried to find it. But this was in the 1700s and early 1800s, and just thankful to be a part to help the Historical Society, and happy 205th anniversary.
Hi, my name is Mary Merritt Harrison, and I was married to John Franklin Harrison in December of 1858. I left the home of my parents at the age of 37. He had 6 children at the time, and I became an instant parent to 6 kids. In total, I had 11 children to raise. I want to tell you about a son that he had with his second wife, who was Nancy Willingham. Nancy, whose uncle was an ancestor to the Willinghams, who brought the first food franchise to this area, which was the Dairy Queen, and that was 70 years ago. Their first child, whose name is Thomas, was born the following year and followed by 3 little girls, who all died in infancy. After our marriage, John and I moved to the Coal Mountain community. A son, who was Nancy and John's son, left his mark on the area. He established a sawmill operated by steam engine, which turned into a thriving business. He furnished the wood for the first Coal Mountain Baptist Church and handed the keys to the deacons when it was completed. The many descendants of the Harrison family still meet once a year at the church for the family reunion some 138 years later.
Layla Denmark was born in Porter, Georgia on February 1st, 1898. She graduated from the Medical College of Georgia in 1928 and was the only female in her graduating class. She earned an internship at Grady Hospital in Atlanta, and she was recruited as the first doctor on staff when Eggleston Children's Hospital opened in Atlanta, and she received the first patient, which led her to become the state of Georgia's first female pediatrician. After having her own child, she opened her medical practice in her home in Virginia Highlands. By 1935, she was a staff member at the Presbyterian Church Baby Clinic in Atlanta. She volunteered weekly in the Cabbagetown neighborhood of Atlanta's Cotton Mill, providing free medical care for families who couldn't afford health care. When a whooping cough epidemic seized Atlanta, Dr. Denmark began researching diagnosis, treatment, and immunizations, which led her to co-develop the pertussis vaccine, of which she was awarded the Fisher Prize in 1935. Dr. Denmark believed every child should have a chance, and she strongly recommended fruits and vegetables and only water to provide a health-conscious diet for children. In 1971, Dr. Denmark wrote a book titled Every Child Should Have a Chance. In her 80s, Dr. Denmark and her family bought land in Forsyth County along Mullinex Road, and there, in an 1800s building, she continued her pediatric practice. She continued to see patients until her eyesight gave way at age 103. She continued to take phone calls regarding patients and giving medical advice. Dr. Denmark never took insurance, only charged $10 a visit, answered her own phone, and kept her own books. By aged 106, she moved with her daughter to Athens, Georgia, and at aged 114, she passed away. Working more than 70 years as Georgia's first female pediatrician.
Hi, my name is Deidre Kellogg Cochran. I am currently at the Three Chimneys location, which happens to be the land that my ancestors owned, the Blackstocks. The Three Chimneys are all that remain of the Blackstock farmstead and home. The younger generations moved south and received land during the Cherokee Land Lottery of 1832, allowing new homesteads to be developed in what is now Forsyth County. As a young man, William Blackstock arrived in Georgia and met and married Hannah Wright in 1811. They were only 20 years old before settling in the coming area of Forsyth County. Their descendants became prominent local figures, serving as farmers, ministers, and even soldiers during the Civil War.
I'm Janice McConnell Talent. I have attended Friendship Baptist Church all my life. In fact, my great-grandparents on both sides, my grandparents and my parents have been very active here at Friendship and are all buried in the cemetery here. This one was built, and we think it's where it is now, but it was facing east. It's about where our baptizing pool is now. It was looking that direction. In 1919, they remodeled the church and put it like this. They changed it to face south. Then in 1960, they bricked the church and put the stained glass windows in. And then this is how it was in the 1990s. It got changed again to the 1990s.
The only known Revolutionary War patriot to be buried in Forsyth County is John Nash LeGrand. John LeGrand was a Revolutionary War soldier from Virginia. He drew land during the Cherokee Land Lottery and owned a piece of land that was once part of Cherokee County, and today it is Forsyth County. He was a member of Friendship Baptist Church during their beginnings in 1840 through his death in 1843. Today, a Pomeroy Foundation marker indicates John Nash LeGrand's Revolutionary War service, the fact that he drew land during the Cherokee Land Lottery, and that he was a member of Friendship Baptist Church located on Friendship Circle in Forsyth County. That Pomeroy Foundation marker for John Nash LeGrand sits at the entrance to Friendship Baptist Church Cemetery for all to see.
Hi, I'm Perrie Tucker. I'm the current chapter regent for Chestatee River D.A.R chapter right here in Forsyth County. We're at Friendship Baptist Church Cemetery today because in honor of America 250, the Pomeroy Foundation, along with the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, are gifting 250 Pomeroy Foundation markers to D.A.R chapters throughout the United States. In honor of America 250, our chapter is receiving one of those Pomeroy Foundation markers to represent the only known Revolutionary War patriot that's buried in Forsyth County. He was a member of Friendship Baptist Church between 1841 and 1843. And we are going to place the marker right here near the road so that patrons can visit the marker, pull over to the parking lot, and read the sign in honor of John Nash LeGrand, Revolutionary War patriot from Virginia who fought during the Revolution and was gifted land during the Cherokee Land Lottery and came to Georgia in Forsyth County and is buried in Forsyth County, although not in the cemetery. He's on private property, but the marker will reflect his life and his membership and participation here in our county, as well as the American Revolution. Huzzah to America 250.
My name's Adam Johnson. I've lived in Forsyth County since 2007. I'm the lead pastor of Brownsbridge Church. I've been a part of our staff for 15 years and have been the lead pastor here for the last 9 years. One of the things about our church is that we want to not just be about what happens inside our four walls. We want to find ways to make a tangible impact on the community around us. We want our community to be glad that we're here, to know that we're here, and to be glad that we're here. One of the ways that that plays out for us is about 20 years ago, we started an initiative called Be Rich. And it's a generosity campaign where we partner with nonprofit organizations throughout the community who are doing great work impacting those that are most in need in our community. And we collect a bunch of money and we give 100% of it away to pre-vetted projects through these nonprofit organizations. And it's a really exciting thing that we do every single year to see our people get to make an impact on the folks that need it most in our community.
My name is Brian Tam. My wife Kelly and I own and operate Tam's Backstage here in the old Cumming Schoolhouse. This building is 101 years old. This brick wall behind me survived the fire of 1927, and this building was renovated and was opened with the Cumming Playhouse in 2004. In 2005, Tam's Backstage moved in here, and we're a proud member of this community for the past 21 years. We operate the School Street Playhouse as well. It's quite a great date night to come in here and enjoy dinner and then go to a show afterwards. Starting with 9 to 5, the musical, Addams Family, the musical, and a Christmas Carol. We'll have many tribute bands, including the Beatles, the Eagles, the Allman Brothers. The Playhouse and the restaurant are just alive with energy when we're running a show.
Hi, my name's Nicole. I'm the owner of Pop-In here at the Cumming City Center. We are co-working and event space. We host meetings, we have a co-working space, we have a podcast studio, a huge space that we use to celebrate events. And we have been here for about 2.5 years, but my family and I have been in Cumming in the Forsyth County area for about 16 years. One of the things that I love the most about Forsyth County is the opportunity that we've had to see the growth in the diversity. My family and I are from Puerto Rico originally, but we grew up in South Florida. Just to see some of that, like all of America in Forsyth County, has been really cool.
Hi, my name is Julie Brennan. I was born and raised in the island of Vieques, Puerto Rico. I've been here in I've been here in Georgia 32 years, and I'm very proud of that. It's probably the best move I've ever made. I've been a part of the community in Forsyth County for the past 15 as the owner of My Forsyth magazine. My Forsyth magazine just started out as an opportunity to tell stories about the community. Forsyth County, I will tell you, it's my second home. It's where I have managed to meet a lot of people, to find out more about what makes the county such a great place, as well as Cherokee, since they're sister counties. But it also affords me the opportunity to realize how lucky we are to live in a home, in a place, and in a group of people who are community. You know, we help one another, we talk, we disagree, but at the same time we find common sense and commonality, because after all, we are in one nation. We're in the United States of America.
Hello, my name is Jody Patel. I have been in Forsyth County for over 14 years. I actually was not born in America. I was born in England, but moved to California when I was about 8. And then I've been in Atlanta for 21, almost 22 years. So it's been interesting seeing Forsyth County and the growth over the last 14 years. I think that it's incredible seeing the families, new families coming in, new schools being built, new buildings being built. But what I really find fascinating about Forsyth County is how it keeps that small town connected feel. And that really makes anyone feel like they're at home. I have really felt this sense in Forsyth County that the focus is around family, around education, and around service. And when I see all of the advantages she has of the school systems here, it makes me think about my parents. So my parents' journey has been really interesting. They were born in India. They moved to Africa, where both my oldest sisters were born. They then moved to England, where I was born, and then moved to California, where we made that our home. And when I think about why they did this, it was all about giving us a better life, better education, more opportunities. When I think about America as a whole, it really gives us those opportunities. If you work hard, it is there for you. And I think in America, all the past founders have done for our country, everything that they've fought for, it's still there. The freedom, the ability to do what you want. You have to find your passion. And if you work really hard like my parents did, you're able to create anything that you want. And I find that to be such an advantage of living here in America. And my hopes as we continue to grow is that we, in Forsyth County specifically, keep that small community feel, that we continue to look out for each other, that we continue to care about families.
Hey, my name's Mike Valdez. I'm currently the chairman of the Forsyth County Board of Education. I was elected to represent District 5, which is the southern part of the county, kind of bordering Johns Creek and Fulton County. On the Board of Education, as the chair, I'm kind of the herding cats guy. So I'm the kind of the administrative leader of the board. All board members are equally vested and have the same level of responsibility and authority, but the chair is kind of the administrative coordinator of the board and of the meetings and the things that go on in this room. So it's kind of a ceremonial administrative role, but all 5 of us together represent the entire authority of the Board of Education.
One of the things that's really been great about studying American history is we really started off as an underdog on the world stage. And I think that's really pretty similar to how we start out as a county in Forsyth County, from where we were to where we are today. Today we've got a phenomenal school system, we've got a wonderful community to live in, it's a great place to do business. Wasn't always this way, and so we've come a long way from where we started to where we are now. And now it's our job, and my job as the school superintendent, for all of our principals and our teachers and our counselors and our staff, from bus drivers to cafeteria workers to everybody involved, to make sure that we're graduating America's future leaders. We've got great resources in this county, we've got phenomenal teachers, and so putting all of our wits together and all of our efforts together, it's really our job to make sure that all of our graduates are prepared to be the next leaders of our country. And what I mean by leaders are problem solvers and effective communicators and hopefully selfless servers.
Hey Forsyth, Ron Freeman. I'm the sheriff of Forsyth County. As we talk about the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, kind of cool opportunity to talk about some things that the Sheriff's Office is doing. Recently, Sheriff's Office undertook the Park or Pet Adoption and Resource Center, so the animal services side. We also took on the Park Rangers, which means we're protecting the lake parks that we kind of took over, the county took over from the Corps of Engineers. So our services are expanding, and that's really cool for us, for Forsyth County and our citizens. Honestly, I'd rather us do it than depending on another government entity that's not closely related to Forsyth County. No offense, but I think we do it better. So a lot of cool things we're doing. We're seeing adoptions up in the Pet Adoption Center. We're seeing the lake parks get safer and safer as we go along. In a county that continues to grow, in a county that's now close to 300,000 people, our crime rates are going down. Our crime rates are lower and lower year over year over year. Now, I'm not going to be able to continue to do that every year. Eventually, we're going to hit a saturation point where I can't make it go much lower than it is. And I say the men and women of the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office and the citizens of Forsyth County. But guys, our crime rates are lower today than they were 10 years ago. Think about that. 10 years ago, there was almost 100,000 less people living in Forsyth County. And the crime rates today are lower than that. What do I attribute that to? I attribute it, we live in an awesome county with awesome people.
Hi, I'm Jason Evans. I serve on Cumming City Council, and I've lived here in Cumming for about 20 years. I love this city, and although we're growing and changing, the heart is still there of a small town, a small community, I think. I think you wave at people, they wave back at you. You have a flat tire, people are going to pull over and help you fix it. And I want to make sure we continue that into the future.
I'm Carol LaBranch, and I'm here in Cumming, Georgia with About Face USA. We are a veteran service organization. We work with local veterans to help them find resources, whether it's getting their VA benefits, Maybe they need some mental health services, substance use disorder services. We do peer support groups. We offer holistic healing online. And then we also have an online female veteran support group, strictly for the women. It's working very well. We've only been open a year and a half, and we're very fortunate that we have this center open during the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. We're very excited about that and love to be a part of that.
My name is Tommy Clack, and I was born down in Decatur, Georgia back in March of 1947. I am blessed that I grew up with a mom and dad that served during World War II and survived the Depression, and I think that discipline they instilled in me is what carries me through the life today. But I knew I was always going in the military. My dad was 7th generation Army in my family. I'm 8th generation Army. When I went off to college in 1965 to the University of Houston, the anti-war sentiment towards Vietnam was already on the campuses, and while I could have stayed there with my grades and being on an athletic scholarship, I'm one of those that chose to drop out of college and went and volunteered for the Army. Really, people don't understand this, but I needed to find out if I was half the man my dad was, so I wanted to go to Vietnam. And when I became commissioned as a second lieutenant, I asked multiple times if I could go to Vietnam on my first tour. I think because of my ability to articulate, I ended up being an instructor at Fort Sill before I could go to Vietnam. My superiors finally realized I think we'd all be better as instructors if we were experienced in what we were trying to do. So I got to go to Vietnam, arrived there in October of '68. In May of '69, in a firefight on the Cambodian border, I ended up becoming this triple amputee. Lost of hearing. I don't have any inner ear on the right side, and all my organs internally were damaged. But part of my story, I was actually pronounced dead on the battlefield. Obviously, I was not dead, and God had something else for me to do, and I'm still here 56 plus years later, and to me that's a real blessing. But while I was in the VA hospital for 22 months, I ended up going through 33 surgeries to put my body back together, so I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do. Even while I was in the hospital, I was trying to figure out a way to get involved in the veterans community and help other veterans. I did not like the way we were treated when we came back. It had an impact on me and a lot of other men and women, and I wanted to make sure future generations didn't endure with what we had to endure with. But I think we changed a lot over the years. But I got involved with a group called the Georgia JCs. We were across the country and worldwide, and rose through the presidency, becoming state president in '77, '78, so that opened up a door with a lot of organizations. And I think it's important to understand that we all come together, and that our military and our veterans and their families are what make this country what it is.
My name is James Lane. I served in the Marine Corps from 2014 to 2018. I've lived in Forsyth County my whole life. One thing I really do love about Forsyth County, though, is you can go to any parking lot around, you can be on any road in the county, and you see a veteran license plate. And so clearly, it's a very desirable place for veterans to live, and it should be. This place is I'd say, very patriotic. You know, I've been all over the country, all over the world, and Forsyth County is very patriotic. I love it. You know, you go to the coming parade, the 4th of July parade, and you'll just see the kind of support that the community gives veterans.
Hello, my name is Ayan Aziz Kadar, and I'm a 7th grader at Victory Creek Middle School. I heard about the America 250 art contest from my teacher at school. I was encouraged to do this because I love history and I love to express it through art. My process was to just draw the main faces, like the founding fathers, the Continental Soldier and the Eagle, then go in with the background.
Hi, I'm Cole Sabul. I'm 14 years old. I'm a member of the Patriots of Liberty Society, Children of the American Revolution, and I'm also the first vice president of the Georgia State Society, Children of the American Revolution. Children of the American Revolution is an organization where anybody who's in it, it's ages birth to 22, all of them have or had a patriot that served in the American Revolution. So everybody will get together in their societies and they'll go do volunteer work or they'll go to commemorations for all the battles. Some of the things that I like about C.A.R. are all of the commemorations and the reenactments of some of the battles. It's really cool seeing the musket fire and the cannons going off and just seeing how all the battles really played out. It's also really fun meeting new people from different states at like nationals or regionals, and it's really cool learning about how their societies do their volunteer work or commemorations. One way we encourage patriotism at Patriots of Liberty is we go around and we put flags out in different neighborhoods and we put them out at each house, and it really just shows off patriotism and love of country everywhere around.
Personally, I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. I'm the son of immigrants from Cuba who fled that country to flee a dictatorship that was brutal to the people and deprived them of freedom and opportunity. And that's really relevant, I would think, to celebrating 250 years of America.
The opportunity to be able to celebrate our birthday, 250 years of the United States of America, the great city on the hill, the great nation that's always there to help others out. It is really, really an exciting time for us in Forsyth County Schools.
As I look back over the past 250 years, none of us are here, and I have great appreciation and thankfulness for the families that sacrificed for our country, and just gave themselves to Forsyth County as we know it today in North Georgia and the state. So I just want to encourage everybody, happy 250th anniversary, and Georgia's just continuing to be a great state, and we keep making it better.
You're going to see the 4th of July parade being a 250th anniversary. It's already a really cool event that we do, the Mashburn Steam Engine Parade here, but what a great opportunity to really celebrate what makes us American, what makes us similar, not what drives us apart.
And when you think about the founding of this country and the ideals that they set forth, namely freedoms, opportunities, and general idea and courage to be able to dream big.
250 years just means to me hope, really, right? Hope for opportunity and hope for an America that is free and it is brave, but it's also kind.
We are celebrating this year our 50th year, and it's fun because we have such a longevity, but it's wonderful to believe that our country is 250 years old.
As I thought about the celebration, 250 years, the first thing that comes to mind is wow. Because look at all the things that happened to get us to where we are today. History tells us what we're all about. History provides us the opportunity to learn and not repeat the mistakes that were done in the past.
We know what's right and decent and what we should aspire to. It's still a common element of decency that I think we can all share and I hope agree in.
If I had one thing to say to all future generations, my grandkids, I've got 5 now from 4 to age 16, is this is a great country to live in. The rest of the world wants to come here because we are that great.
250 years is a humongous milestone, and I'm grateful to be here to see it. That's impressive.
I have lived in Georgia my entire life. I was born here. So just being surrounded by people with that same type of resilience and hope it really helps me be the best I can be.
What I look forward to in the next 250 years is everybody really coming together as a country and just more patriotism all around.
Hey, I'm Troy Brimbelow, Mayor of the City of Cumming, and it's such an honor to be here today to talk about our community. I've lived here my whole life. I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. We have such a great community, and we are honored to be able to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our great nation.